Good afternoon, everyone. So first of all, is there anyone in here who gets seasick? Because I saw some of you do this, So if so, you may want to avert your eyes in the first couple of minutes here. So I know these past few months have been pretty rough on a lot of us. It feels like we're on a boat during a storm with powerful waves hitting us, one right after the other, federal changes, executive orders, contraction of revenues, up and down, tariffs, no tariffs, the cost of business increasing. We're all feeling these impacts. And while the seas are rough, I just want everyone to be reminded that how resilient Santa Barbara County is, how resilient all of you are. And we're going to continue to make progress, even though it may feel like we're swimming with the sharks. And by the way, this AI video is sponsored by Dramamine, because nothing calms rough waters like a good county PowerPoint. So that's what we have today, so let's dig in. Okay, I always show this slide to remind us that we are both a suburban and a rural county. Almost half of our land is owned by the government, mostly the feds, and that's in the yellow. And about 47% is in ag, which is in the green. That leaves less than 5% for urbanized uses like housing and commercial activities, which is the orange, pink, and brown. Of our 440,000 residents, about 307,000 live in our 8 cities, and as you can see, Santa Maria is still the largest city, followed by Santa Barbara and Lompoc. Approximately 137,000 residents live in the unincorporated area, which are rural and urban areas outside of our cities. Orcutt is the largest of these communities and would rank 4th largest overall, about tied to Goleta. Eastern Goleta Valley and Isla Vista would actually rank 5th and 6th largest. Over the past 5 years, countywide population has actually declined, with the exception of Guadalupe, Santa Maria, and Goleta's been pretty stable. But statewide, the population has been held steady. So what it means is coastal counties like us are losing population as people migrate inland, likely because of housing costs. If this continues, it could be a challenge because many state and federal programs are based on population. The good news is the county's population actually grew by 0.6% over the past year, slightly outpacing the state growth. All areas saw growth except Lompoc, which experienced a slight decline. So this upward trend is encouraging, and we hope it continues. Now let's look at poverty and income data. The most recent available data shows the county's median income at $96,000, which is on par with the state, and the poverty rate of 7.6%, which is lower than the statewide rate. However, none of these figures reflect housing costs, which is what Kristen talked about, which remain a significant concern. Updated 2024 census estimates are expected in September. Now, speaking of housing, the state has mandated nearly 25,000 new units countywide and in cities by 2031. In the unincorporated county alone, 460 units have already been approved. 78% of that is affordable. Over 7,200 units are in the pipeline, 20% of which is affordable. Now I'm going to segue into some general information about county government. Now the county provides a wide range of essential services. Some of them are shown here. But the question is, where does our money come from and where does it go? This chart illustrates the flow of funds. On the left are revenue sources, and on the right are how we spend it. So 35% from federal and state sources, our largest share. If you see, that flows mostly into safety net services and public safety. 29% comes from local taxes, and nearly 80% of that is from property taxes. And that flows largely to public safety. 27% from charges for services like payments to our health clinics. And if you see, that goes to different essential services. This next slide shows property values over the last 30 years. And what it shows is that property values have steadily increased over the last 3 decades, and even during the recession. We saw a sharp rise during the pandemic, which has since begun to level off. Taking a closer look, this chart illustrates real property transfers subject to the documentary transfer tax. The blue bars show the number of transactions which have declined in post-COVID and are now below pre-pandemic levels. The orange line represents the total value of those transactions, which remains higher. So in short, fewer transactions, but at higher values. Now, if you're curious about where those properties were sold, this gives you a better idea. On the left is the average sale price per jurisdiction. And let's go ahead and zoom in on the South Coast. Here you get a closer look at these are actually all the parcels sold in the South Coast in 2024. It's represented by a yellow dot. And as you can see, the average prices throughout the South Coast range from $1.9 million to $855,000. this chart shows annual transient occupancy tax, TOT revenue, or hotel tax. The orange bar represents the actual revenue from fiscal year 23-24. The yellow is the, I'm sorry, 23-24 is actual. The one next to it, the yellow, is the estimated revenue because the final numbers haven't been posted. What's the key takeaway? Santa Barbara City leads with an estimated $35.2 million, generating as much TOT as all the other cities combined. The unincorporated county areas brought in about $22.2 million, driven by 30 hotels and 470 short-term rentals. You see a sharp increase to the county's TOT, and that's because we raised our TOT rate from 12% to 14%, and you also see Buellton, Solvang, and Carp also saw modest increases because they had voter-approved TOT hikes as well. Now this chart shows sales tax revenue over the past 10 years, with the box on the left displaying the sales tax rates. Santa Barbara has the highest rate at 9.25%, Buellton and the unincorporated county have the lowest at 7.75%, and the other cities are in between. Some key highlights: Santa Maria is the top generator of sales tax, bringing in $30.5 million. Santa Barbara City follows. The unincorporated county generates about 16.1, which is about half of these two. But if you take another look at it, per capita reveals a different story. Buellton has the highest per capita sales tax, despite having the lowest tax rate. Solvang and Santa Barbara follow, and at the bottom we see Guadalupe and the unincorporated county. So for the unincorporated areas, this reflects a lower concentration of commercial businesses, meaning many residents likely shop in nearby cities, contributing to those sales tax revenues there. Now, as we look ahead, there are signs of concern and warning. Not just in our budget, but in a lot of local government budgets. We see that there's rising costs are outpacing our revenues. Our revenue growth from state, federal, and local sources is not keeping pace with rising costs. So I'll give you an example. In our capital program, construction costs for projects have surged 35% over the past 3 years, impacting our whole program. Mandated services are also more expensive, with insufficient or sometimes no reimbursement for the state or federal government. So here's another example. We've seen about the same number of children in foster care, because that's one of our duties. But more recently, these kids have more difficult and complex cases. We were just told that a 14-year-old in foster care with significant developmental needs was placed in specialized care for $35,000 every month. There's another placement we just had that was $26,000 every month. Now we didn't used to have these, but these are services that are very important, but they're not isolated cases anymore. State budget concerns: the state balanced its budget and preserved core services, thank you, but relied on one-time funds and deferrals, so those may be popping up again in the future. Federal policy impacts: there were over 192 executive orders that have been issued, some with regulatory changes and some not. A key concern for us is Medicaid funding, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And jail expansion. You'll say, didn't you just build a jail? Yes, we did. We recently opened a new jail in North County, but a lawsuit and settlement requires that we improve conditions for all inmates. So the county must either upgrade the existing South County jail or build a new one. And believe it or not, a new facility is more cost effective than renovating the old one. So that's high on our list of what we have to fund. Even with plans to close most of the South County jail, cost savings won't be sufficient to cover the costs. Okay, I want to talk about federal policy changes relating to Medi-Cal. So as you see if you look at this chart, this relates to those with unsatisfactory immigration status, which is undocumented folks. While not yet implemented, a shift has occurred that could significantly have impacts on the local jurisdiction. Our current landscape, as you see in this chart, that 1 in 3 residents in the county have Medi-Cal, which is the public health insurance. So 1 in 3. Of those, an estimated 33,000 individuals have unsatisfactory immigration status. The county alone, our public health clinics, 7,500 of our 31 assigned clients fall into this category. Other providers are feeling the same impacts. So what's next? The state of California has filed an injunction and the matter's under court review right now, and the county's proactively working with partners like CenCal Health to see what we can do. But why does this matter to all of us in this room? I think it matters because if individuals lose access to primary care, what will happen to them? They may turn to emergency rooms for treatment, and leading to increased demand and longer wait times for everybody else. And let's not forget another challenge in our county. It's the frequency of disasters. Our county continues to face frequent and diverse emergencies, testing our resilience and our responses. So what happened last month? the 911 outage caused by the fiber line being accidentally cut. An earthquake in Russia caused a tsunami warning to us. And then we had the Gifford fire in Koyama, which became one of the largest fires in California. We continue to invest, however, in our emergency response with new technology to better protect and inform the public. We're launching a new evacuation mapping tool that provides real-time visual alerts for evacuation zones. And it shows available resources like masks and distribution centers and what residents need to do and where they can go during an emergency. We're also launching a backup radio system for AM radio stations. The county has been preparing for these fiscal headwinds for quite some time now, but the pressure is building. We have a strong financial foundation, however. Our strategic reserve is fully funded. We maintain a AAA credit rating from S&P, which means it's the highest awarded to local governments. That helps us lower our borrowing costs. And our go-forward strategy involves rebalancing budgets with departments, which we're starting now, and preparing a multi-year strategy for the board to review in 2026. And we're continuing to invest in technology with new enterprise software and some AI pilot programs. And despite all these challenges, we're continuing to make progress on key initiatives. And I want to show you right now to take a quick look at what's planned for the year ahead.
The County of Santa Barbara's fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget totals $1.69 billion, reflecting on the county's continued commitment to responsible fiscal stewardship while navigating an increasingly uncertain financial landscape. This budget reflects stability amid uncertainty, sustaining progress through prudent planning. Let's dive into some of the key programs making a real impact in our community. The county is accelerating efforts to address the housing crisis by implementing several programs with the goal of increasing local housing. These include a local preference program, workforce and farm worker housing partnerships, and incentives for affordable housing development. To speed up construction and reduce costs, the county is creating pre-approved accessory dwelling unit, ADU, plans and expanding online permitting systems. The county continues its investment in interim and permanent supportive housing with over $23 million in funding. Sites like Hope Village in Santa Maria and La Posada in the Goleta Valley offer 174 cabin units with wraparound services. The county continues to provide $604 million in safety net services to all residents. To help meet the need of inpatient mental health care, the county is investing $16.6 million in mental health treatment beds. Plus, farm workers, their families, and employers will be supported with direct in-person access to services and programs through the county's Mobile Farm Worker Resource Center. The county is improving criminal justice and jail services by increasing jail health care with 22 new positions and expanded mental health care. In addition, successful programs continue, helping to reduce jail stays, promote alternatives to incarceration, and relapses of criminal behavior. The county is advancing climate resiliency and sustainability by pursuing grants to fund climate action plan initiatives and installing 150 new electric vehicle charging stations. The budget includes $131 million in planned projects for this fiscal year. Recreation projects include a parking lot replacement at Goleta Beach Park, ball field lighting at Orchid Community Park, amphitheater renovations at Cachuma Lake, and restroom and infrastructure improvements at Rincon Park. Transportation projects include Bonita School Road Bridge, which serves as a connection between San Luis Obispo County and the cities of Santa Maria and Guadalupe, Phase 2 of the MODOC multi-use path, providing safer ADA-compliant access through the area, and the Santa Claus Lane streetscape to increase coastal access through the coastal corridor between the city of Carpinteria and the community of Summerland. The Regional Fire Communications Center construction was completed in fiscal year 24-25. It centralizes dispatch for fire and emergency medical services countywide. In fiscal year 25-26, construction will continue on the new probation building and improvements to the Santa Barbara South County Jail. The county is finalizing a county-wide recreational master plan to guide future park and trail development across the region. These projects will boost tourism and community wellness. Local farms now have more ways to welcome the community and enhance business with the implementation of the Agricultural Enterprise Ordinance. The County of Santa Barbara's fiscal year 2025-26 budget is all about stability amid uncertainty, sustaining progress through prudent planning, so the County of Santa Barbara can continue to deliver exceptional services so all can enjoy a safe, healthy, and prosperous life, because we are one county with one future.
Can you give a hand to Kelsey Batita? She put that together for us. Okay, I want to leave you with a final thought. And that's in Santa Barbara County. We may differ, we may debate, but we never really are truly divided. We know each other. Sometimes we don't like each other, but we work through tough issues together. And I believe that most of you believe, those of you in this room, that in Santa Barbara County we're unique, because most of us think that many problems can be solved over a glass of wine or a tri-tip sandwich. So I'll leave you with this other thought, and my motto has been in these rough waters, when you can't control the storm, be the lighthouse. So let's just keep shining that light for each other and for all of us in Santa Barbara County. Thank you very much.